Hannibal Barca, the unyielding lion of Carthage. Dark clouds gathered over the Roman Republic. As a young but talented Carthaginian general, Hannibal Barca devised one of the boldest military campaigns in history. His name became Rome's greatest fear, and his strategic genius led to an incredible victory at the Battle of Cannae, following an extraordinary and grueling march across the Alps. An oath and preparation for war. Hannibal was raised in the art of war. His father, Hannibal Barca, a renowned Carthaginian general, not only trained his son, but also instilled in him an unwavering hatred for Rome. According to legend, as a child, Hannibal swore never to make peace with the Roman Republic. When he became the commander of Carthaginian forces in Spain in 221 BC, he began planning the greatest campaign of his life. The daring march across the Alps in 218 BC, Hannibal launched his legendary expedition. Gathering around 90,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants, he led his army from Spain, across the Pyrenees and through modern-day France, until they reached the towering and treacherous Alps. The plan was insanely risky. Many of his officers believed such a journey was impossible. However, Hannibal, relying not just on military expertise but also on sheer determination, led his army through the snow-covered mountains, where soldiers suffered from freezing temperatures, starvation, and constant attacks from hostile Gallic tribes. Narrow mountain paths became deadly traps. Many troops and even elephants fell to their deaths from the cliffs. Despite these hardships, after weeks of grueling travel, Hannibal arrived in Italy with around 26,000 troops. He had lost nearly half of his army, but he had gained something even greater: the terror of Rome. The terror of Italy and victory at Cannae. Romans were convinced that Hannibal would not be able to sustain his forces in Italy, but they were gravely mistaken. Over the next few years, he secured a string of stunning victories, crushing Roman forces at the battles of Ticinus, Trebia, and Lake Trasimene. However, his greatest triumph was yet to come. In 216 BC, the Roman Republic, enraged by their continuous defeats, assembled the largest army in its history, nearly 86,000 men. Their goal was simple: annihilate Hannibal's forces. On the plains of Cannae, two armies met, but the Romans had no idea they were walking into one of the most masterfully crafted traps in military history. Hannibal, fully aware of the Romans' aggressive nature, arranged his forces in a way that lured them into a deadly embrace. His center line was curved outward, seemingly offering the Romans an easy victory. Believing in their numerical superiority, the Romans charged forward, expecting to crush the Carthaginian army. As soon as the Roman forces pushed into Hannibal's center, his flanks, composed of Iberian and Gallic warriors, closed in from the sides. At the same time, the elite African infantry blocked their front, while the Numidian cavalry struck from the rear, cutting off any escape routes. The Romans were now completely encircled, the first recorded instance of a perfect double envelopment maneuver, a tactic later studied and replicated by military leaders such as Napoleon and even World War II strategists. One of the bloodiest battles in history, the Romans found themselves in a death trap. Squeezed from all sides, they had nowhere to flee. Panic and chaos erupted among their ranks as they realized their doom. The fighting lasted for hours, but it ended in complete Roman annihilation. Out of 86,000 soldiers, nearly 50,000 were killed, one of the worst defeats in Roman history. Why didn't Hannibal destroy Rome? Following this victory, Hannibal's name became legendary, but he never directly marched on Rome. Many historians argue that he lacked the necessary reinforcements from Carthage, and his forces were too exhausted after years of campaigning. The Romans, realizing that direct engagement with Hannibal was a disaster, shifted to a prolonged war strategy known as the Fabian strategy, which slowly drained Hannibal's strength over time. Hannibal's legacy. Although Hannibal eventually lost the war and was forced into exile, his name remains etched in military history. He not only left an indelible mark on warfare, but also became an eternal example of how courage and strategic brilliance can change the course of history. His march across the Alps and his victory at Cannae are still studied in military academies worldwide. Hannibal Barca was more than just a general, he was a legend, proving that sheer determination and tactical genius could challenge even the mightiest of empires.